Hello and welcome to this episode of Read Play Game, the podcast where we look at tabletop role-playing games from every side of the table. I'm the rules lawyer, and this week I will be playing.
I'm Emma, and I will be playing this week as well.
I'm Anish, and I'll be GMing.
I'm Tori, and I'll be playing.
I'm Mikey, and I will be playing.
Yippee!
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 For people tuning in for the first time, this is the first of three parts that make up the structure of the podcast, the read portion. We won't just be reading, though. We'll be walking through the character creation process of an RPG that we've selected for this week, talking through the rules as we go. This will be followed by later episodes where we play through a brief game using these characters and then reflect on the system. Feel free to listen to whichever of these interest you, and feel free to skip whichever ones don't. Today, we are going to be looking at Wanderhome, a peaceful TTRPG designed by Jay Dragon and published by Possum Creek Games. Anish, would you like to talk a little bit about it? Because I know you are pretty passionate about this game.
Yes. I love Wanderhome. I got the game initially through a bundle on itch.io a couple of years ago. It's definitely one of the more popular systems we've played on the podcast. It gained a lot of attention after a really successful Kickstarter campaign. And I think it's for good reason. Wanderhome as a game promises something special. It's a pastoral fantasy role-playing game about traveling animal folk and the world they inhabit and the way that seasons change. And a core part of this identity for this entire system is that it exists in a time of peace. So there's no violence on a larger scale. How that'll mesh with our group, we'll see. But I'm excited to try it out. Wanderhome as a system is built on the Belonging Outside Belonging engine by Avery Alder and Benjamin Rosenbaum. It's also known as the No Dice, No Masters system. That means that we are not rolling any dice today. It is a completely token-based system. So
Yeah, throw those dice in the garbage.
Yeah.
Throw them away. To play this game, you'll only need a couple things. One, obviously, the core rule book, paper or digital copies of any necessary materials, writing utensils, and, like we mentioned before, some tokens. The game describes tokens as such. They can be small stones, gambling chips, sunflower seeds, or anything else that is small and plentiful.
Hypothetically, dice.
Hypothetically, we could use
So you don't
dice
have
as
to
tokens.
throw your dice away.
I kind of want to use dice.
Okay, you are free to do so. I will be digitally tracking them on Roll20. And one final fun thing, Jay also recommends snacks, water, comfortable chairs, and a friendly camaraderie, though none are required.
I'd like to play this game in a setting that does not have friendly camaraderie. Just
lot
like
of
a really
conflict, yeah.
tense, angry group playing this peaceful game.
That's therapy. That's family therapy.
Well, it's interesting that this game does not include violence after the bloodbath that was our final Troika moment. I'm picturing like that kind of leveled everything out. Shout out to Thanos. And like now it's being built up
It's all
again.
peaceful.
A palate cleanser.
Go back and listen to the Troika episodes if you don't know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
And then go back and listen to all of them because we self-reference a lot of our worlds in Troika.
So many. Okay, so Wanderhome, a pretty big book, but it's pretty easy to get through and start playing. A general structure, since the book is filled with so many beautiful passages, I think we should just start by reading the first couple pages by themselves to get a sense of the world and what Jay has in store for us. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Sounds great.
All right.
Okay, so the introduction says, "The road has a song all to its own. Press your ear against my chest." Interesting. No, I'm just realizing that there's
You
sort
went,
of
ooh, delicious.
No. I'm realizing that there's sort of a sort of prose to it that I should be respecting rather than just reading this in like a
100%. It's a lot
Yeah.
of, it's very poetic.
Yeah, okay. Let's okay.
Leave that all in.
Yeah, for sure. "The road has a song all to its own. Press your ear against my chest and you'll hear it. It is always with me, soaring across mountain tops and sleeping in the gutter where the small and forgotten gods live. It tangles through my hair and sits heavy in my boots. Some days that song roars through my bones louder than any storm, and other days it hums its tune so quietly that I could forget it's even there. But I will always hold tight to it, and I'll throw on my cloak, grab my walking stick, and set foot once more. I trust the song. I trust the road. I trust that someday I will arrive at a town and lay down in the grass and know that this is where I was meant to be. The road is a river that carries me home. Inside this book that you hold in your hands is the start of a new journey. Together we'll set forth into a world of grassy fields, mossy shrines, herds of bumblebees, rabbits in sundresses, geckos with suspenders, starry night skies, and the most beautiful sunsets you can imagine. We will befriend stag beetles the size of houses, argue with the king of the floating mountain, fall in love in the basket of a hot air balloon up in the clouds, and make friends with some of the most amazing people you could ask for. The journey will continue across the months and seasons and years, and while we wander, we will watch the leaves fall from the trees and grow again. Where will we go? What will we see? We'll have to find out together. Will you join me? So my first impression from this game is it is a very strong contrast with Troika, because while Troika was a very Reddit game, this seems like a very Tumblr game.
Can we engage with something
Meaningfully,
earnestly?
authentically.
Can we be earnest?
I think
I'm
it
sorry.
sounds so
I think
cute
it sounds
and beautiful.
That's why it's Tumblr.
Yeah.
So does Tumblr. I'm not knocking on the Tumblr. I'm just
It's
Does
part
Tumblr
of
have
the
a lot of
identity.
furries?
just like yes.
This game is furries, right?
Yes, it's furries,
This
and that's
game
good.
is furries.
Hey,
out to
we're
the
not.
furry
Let's not
community.
knock on furries here.
Correct.
I'm not knocking on furries.
We do
I'm just
not
saying
want
it's
to
like
make an enemy out of the furry community.
Well, there's furries on this
All furries-
podcast.
all furries are welcome.
me.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh,
I've
self-report. Self-report. Sauce. Sorry.
Let's not pretend. Let's not pretend like it's a bad thing. Okay.
Okay.
I roleplay
It's
as
not a
chipmunk
bad
on
thing.
Twitter.
Chipmunk,
Okay.
yeah.
We're
Chipmunk
cutting,
persona?
we are cutting a lot of this out.
No. I'm sticking to my guns here.
We
okay.
need friendly camaraderie, and right now we are not.
It said it was
friendly.
optional.
Okay.
It's not required.
Okay, the Land of Haith. It is not my place to describe the entire history of the Land of Haith. After all, it wouldn't make for a good journey if I were to tell you such a thing before we even put on our shoes.
Instead, I will simply mention that there are legends about this place that hang from the lips of every old shrew, a legend buried in every crevice of every stone. I will tell you there is a tale of the slobbering god, and the Heaven Blade used to kill her. I will tell you there are stories of the lightning dancers and their twirling bodies, stories of the North Wind god and the one brave mouse who stood against him. And there is, too, the tale of the great death that all dragons feared and faced.
These tales live on to this day in the Land of Haith, but they are not mine to tell.
Do you want to also do that next part because it was so no? Okay.
Not mine to tell.
More importantly, there are some facts that you'll need to know about the Haithland for your own journeys, and this may be the most important part of all.
The Haith is a beautiful and boundless land full of life and soul. It is composed of small communities separated by vast stretches of wilderness, and these communities are connected by dirt paths, waterways, and the rare hot air balloon passage. Beauty lives in endless shapes and forms in the Haith. Everything in this land holds the capacity to be appreciated and admired. Gods and spirits can be found everywhere, from the small forgotten gods hidden behind rocks and waves to the fish-headed crossroad demons, and even the great sky gods themselves.
The Haith is a land of animal folk. I've seen pigeon merchants, squirrel musicians, gecko fishermen, and at least one very distinctive bartending toad. In the Haith, you can't assume much about someone based on their look. Both meat eaters and herbivores are likely considerate and kind, and even the smallest mouse can have a lion's heart. The families of the Haith may look fairly similar to one another, or they may look wildly different, and it's frankly none of your business to inquire where familial lines end and begin.
The Haith is full of buggy livestock, pets, and wild creatures. From herds of chubby bumbles to stag beetles the size of houses, from the striders dancing across the water to moonlit carrier moths carrying letters from tower to tower. bugs and animal folk live together in harmony. You'll encounter plenty of references to these buggy creatures throughout this book, and while they tend to do their best to make clear both their look and role in the Haith, interpret generously and use your imagination to fill in the gaps.
The Haith boasts a widespread culture of hospitality. A traveler who arrives in a new town will always be able to find some sort of lodging, even if it's sleeping in a bard with some bumbles, and will always be given food and water of some sort. There is, however, a trust within this hospitality. If you hurt or lash out at your hosts, they'll have no problems kicking you out. But if you're kind and mean well, you'll be welcomed with open arms.
In the Haith, we'll be meeting people who are fundamentally good. This will not be true of all the places you go in your life, but on the journey contained within this book, nearly everyone can be trusted to be kind. The exceptions are the mighty, generals, lords, heroes, soldiers, and all those whose souls have become weighed down by power. While they may still be good, that goodness has likely been poisoned by struggle. Thankfully, folks of this nature are exceedingly rare these days, and most everyone knows how to give these lowly conquerors a wide berth.
The Haithland was recently caught in war, but is no longer. There is no violence here anymore.
That's our intro to the setting. There's a couple really cool notes in the director's commentary of the book. Namely, I really like the insight between the decision to make anthropomorphic animals as the characters. Jay mentions the quote is, "You can't fat shame a toad," is mostly just like the default answer. Animal players and animal people, they essentially allow us coming into it to treat the characters with a sense of compassion we struggle to extend to our own body, which I thought was a insightful insight. But yes, we're about to embark on a journey that essentially will not have a lot of conflict in the D&D typical violent sense. That being said, there's definitely going to be fun places to see along the way. I'm thinking we can jump into our next section of the book, which essentially talks about how we will start our journey. And that begins with the journeying tools for this game. The journeying tools, which is on page 11, are essentially kind of common sense safety tools that are written out. And while they're common sense, I think they're pretty powerful just in the context of a shared journey together. So we can briefly go over those. The first journey tool that we can use, and I included these on the Roll20 as well. The first phrase we can always use is, "Let's do this instead." If you're continuing on a path, you can always be empowered to speak up and say, "Let's do this instead," to provide an alternate to the situation, especially if we're at an impasse on what to do. The next tool is, "Do we want to? ... If we're going into someplace new, uncharted territory, and potentially something hazardous, you just want everybody's buy-in. So that's another tool we have. Our next tool, where to next? I often find that sometimes in a campaign, everybody's a little confused from time to time, or people feel lost, they don't know what to do, and it's always okay to just take a step back, breathe, and ask, where to next? 3 more questions. First, what do you think? A lot of times in a game, there's some people who take more time to process, or people have been quiet for a while. It's always nice to be mindful of those things and ask them what they think.
Can I interject?
Yes.
I like the first sentence in that one. When I walk with friends, I tend to move a bit slower and need a bit more time than they do. In those moments, just as with all journeys, we often need people to look around and spot those who could use a bit of focus and more space to express themselves and breathe. I just like the phrasing on that. And it reminded me of, I really like going on literal walks and hikes with people who have different expertise than I do. Jess and I have a close entomologist friend, and whenever we go on hikes, it's like I am seeing all of the bugs that I normally would not notice. So that like we all have different needs, but we also all have different skill sets and knowledge.
Yeah. And all of these little sections for each of these questions, and pretty much most of this book, have really great writing like that. The fifth thing you can always say as a journeying tool is hold on, especially if we need a break. Maybe it's water, or we want to look back at something that was said earlier. Maybe it hurt us and we need to tackle it. Hold on is something we can always say to switch gears. And finally, you can always just say no. No, period. No one can make you do something you don't want to do. And if some aspect of the journey doesn't fit your needs, you can always change it. Yeah, thoughts on those?
Just those are all the verbal ones. They also say walking. Yeah, they also say that you can always walk away. Like if you don't feel comfortable verbalizing, you can also, like, I think that we might not necessarily be using the walking away one because we know each other well. But I think, especially if you're playing with a new group, it's good to remember that you are there by choice
to have fun.
And you don't necessarily owe people like a lengthy explanation. You can just say like, this isn't serving me.
Exactly.
Yeah, reading half of these is like I feel like I intrinsically know that, but to be reminded of them and to have permission is really nice.
I think it's interesting that these are built into the game so explicitly, like that they're on the character sheets even. I think that that's a helpful reference point, and that also informs the I don't know, it informs the atmosphere of the game, where it's definitely about prioritizing comfort. I don't know, this game feels like it's intended to be sort of a step into like a breath of fresh air rather than I don't know. It feels
stressful
very much
combat.
like a comfortable sort of space rather than a. I don't even want to compare it with D&D necessarily. I just want to compare it with like other role playing games in general. It seems like something you live and breathe in a little bit more than others.
Yeah, it seems to very much respect the vulnerability that is inherent in collaborative storytelling, where all of these phrases are things that we say all the time when we're playing a game. Like we might say where to next, but verbalizing the weight of each of them and like, what are we actually saying when we say, let's do this instead? Like,
And also encouraging, like explicitly saying that, I think is, I've been in games before where it's clear that people I don't think understand that you can do all of those things. At this, like there's people who go into it a lot easier and smoothly, and then there's some people who I think are too afraid to speak up about things. So I think being upfront and giving those as reference points makes it very clear what is expected and known in these scenarios.
It's nice there are a lot of questions, too, which facilitates discussion, and it's nice that they include examples, because if it is hard for you to verbalize what you're feeling, you can kind of draw some language from here.
Yeah. Explicit language. Not in a...
Yeah.
Not like cursing.
Not like curse words. Yeah.
What next? Where to next?
Great
Ahead of
question.
the game.
Nice.
I think we'll start taking our first few steps into creating the world we want to live in and the characters that'll fill it up. So on page 15, the section under your first few steps, now that we've gone through the introduction and familiarized ourselves with the Haith, we'll want to take a moment to talk about the kind of journey we hope to embark on. So here are a couple questions that I'd love to have a conversation about. I'm going to skip ahead to the question, do we want a single person to act as the guide, multiple rotating guides, or no guide at all? I will tell you straight up that my hold on a story, because we initially came into it saying I'd help run it, my hold on the story is like me holding a baby bird. Like I have a firm grasp, but I'm not like super attached to it. I'm not really. I have no vice grip on the story, so
You can hold it as long as you're gentle with it.
yeah,
Ooh.
I love that.
But you're imprinting on it.
We're imprint. We'll see if we imprint.
Well, maybe. All that to say, I'd love to have a conversation because this game is intended to be either GM-less, mostly, where people kind of pass around characters, parts of the environment, and all have like collective ownership of that. I am totally willing to do that in small parts or completely change and pivot if that is something we'd like to do. Because, again, I have no firm grasp.
Change and pivot from you
GMing.
guiding?
Yeah.
I like you in that role, especially since this is our first time playing this game. I personally love, both while playing and while GMing, putting as much control over, like, I don't know, like, we're going to your hometown, can you describe it? So that kind of thing of passing the ball back and forth, but that's my take.
I'm nodding along.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're a good GM, and it's like, it's still collaborative it's still collaborative in many ways in terms of how the game system works, in terms of how the story is crafted. And I don't think us, patty caking that responsibility versus not means that we also don't have a say in the story. I like you being a guide for, because I know, like, we've been talking about this specifically, like, you sent me this rule book in 2022. So it's been like 3 years.
Oh my God, 3 years.
I also, this is kind of going to a different question that we might lead. I am interested in doing more of a character study this time. So living more authentically in one character.
Cool.
I would be open to other options, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I have a feeling we tend to like those kinds of games as well. So totally down for that. In fact, there's a little section on page 30 that talks about the benefits of playing with a guide. Playing with a guide allows us to introduce new or less confident players to Wanderhome. A guide helps new players focus more on their own character. Build a world for the journey to take place in. The world often feels more cohesive than the one that emerges from a group bouncing ideas off each other. And finally, finding harmony between a variety of play styles and comfort levels. This is especially useful on journeys where we all don't know each other well. So, especially if you're introducing somebody to Wanderhome, a guide can be pretty helpful. So, just wanted to talk about that. The first question is, how long are we expecting this journey to last, if we have any expectations at all? I think we might play it in 2 sessions, because I like long games.
Is this just a question about length IRL, or is this like I know seasons are a big aspect of the game. I would be interested in exploring a lot of changes in seasons. I don't know if it's like a full year or something.
Yeah, seasons in this game, to kind of skip ahead and answer your question, seasons are essentially the long game. Like, you'll have multiple sessions to explore new seasons.
Gotcha.
And within the scope of a one-shot, I think maybe there's one season, yeah.
Cool.
I think I'm not opposed to doing sort of what you have a vision for, but I think I am drawn more toward a shorter game, or like on the shorter end. But I think that taking our time that we need to do that in a satisfying way is also valuable. So whatever is going to fit that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I intend to let moments breathe, but if we need a direction to go forth, I'm more than happy to just gently push us. The next question, do we want a more pastoral upbeat journey or a world that lingers more heavily on trauma and recovery? I have one that I'm excited about.
What are you excited about?
I love that the world of Wanderhome is, despite it being completely peaceful, nonviolent, it is because there was a war that was fought, and now it is peaceful. And I think the fun of the game, for me, comes from the tension that comes from that is remembered. people are alive that remember that. And how do you settle into that peace, like, wholeheartedly? I love that kind of stuff.
To me, it's much more compelling to acknowledge that you can't really have like that there's sort of a facade of idyllic peace maybe in those sort of scenarios where it's like you can't. Can we really say that it's peace? You know, I know that's the conceit of the game, but it's like I like the idea of exploring, like, what does that mean? Like how is that truly possible? Especially if this world does have the capacity for war, like, what does that mean? What does the peace feel like? Does it feel tense? Does it feel forced? Does it feel genuine, et cetera, et cetera?
My thought on that is that a part of this world is also like gods. And so maybe the peace isn't just like the inhabitants of the world, but the gods were involved in as well. So it's like less like there were two sides, and now how are they not going to resent each other? Like maybe there was some kind of intervention. But what were you thinking, Anish?
No, I was just going to say, like, the reason why I think it's important to read the beginning pages of Wanderhome is that it sets out its philosophy. Like, everybody's nice for the most part, nice in their own way. If you read the playbooks, it talks about how people's care and love are a very specific type of way. And I think the words trauma and recovery are important because how peace is settled is different for each character, but the fundamental aspect is, like, you can breathe in this game. Like, it is peaceful for the first time. Like, you can ask yourself how long it's going to last, but I think the game is focused on, like, proving you right that it is peaceful and settling in on that. So that's just...
But I think what's also compelling in comparison to that, to me, is that, like, even with that description of people being, you know, inherently good or whatever, that's, I think, applicable to real life in a lot of ways. I think that everything that was said in that intro is not necessarily inaccurate for our current world. Obviously, there's not, like, peace, but, like, the goodness, and then there's the corruption of power, where it's like... I admire this in that description of the game, where it's acknowledging a lot of the good, even in people that are struggling. As it said struggle, I think was the word that was used. But yeah, I see. Yeah. I think that is the trauma and recovery aspect is interesting.
Like I picture, like, post World War II UK, you know, these, like, rural towns where all the people, like, went from London during the bombings, and kind of, like, the aftermath of that, and, you know, the way in which these, like, smaller towns, like, dealt with, like, the post-war and, like, coming together and all that stuff.
I think that, like, there's a lot of, like, sort of real world applications that, I mean, you can't ignore the real world applications and implications when you're playing any game. But I do think that I sometimes struggle to like really contend with the premise of this game. I think that I admire this game, but I think that there is a part of me that kind of hesitates to really buy that, I don't know, as a piece of commentary, but I think that I am willing to meet it where it is. I think that I want people to be aware that I'm a little bit hesitant.
War is over. It's been 300 days since we lost Eddie.
What? Sorry?
What?
That's a Stranger Things reference.
You've never seen that before?
I have. Okay.
Eddie
We're
who?
cutting that out. We're cutting that out.
We're leaving it in.
Redmayne.
The most, like...
It's somebody outside, like, really happy. And then it, like, the sound cuts different, and it's black and white. It's like, it's been 300 days since we lost Eddie, the Stranger Things character. Anyway.
Oh, is this a spoiler?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been out. It's been out.
Whatever.
And it sucks. Sorry. I'll say it.
Yeah, it's not good.
Okay. I'm hearing that you're hesitant, and I think it's great to come in, like, what I'm kind of curious about is in some of these safety tools, it's like, well, I don't want my character to lose this item that is important to my character. Let me lose this other item instead. So I'm going to be a little curious about how the story progresses if there's not loss and conflict.
If we are buying into a story about trauma and recovery, then you could be told, like, oh, you're like going to lose this item, and you, Tori, might be like, hell yeah. Like, my character's really sad, but I'm down for that story beat. Like, I think it just puts more control in the player's hands of what exactly they're willing to do and not to do. But I don't think that it's saying that those moments can't happen. It's just...
It gives somebody an alternative,
yeah,
if they're not as interested in that. All right. Where were we?
There's a couple other questions next. Do we want a more personal journey focused on mundane issues and quandaries, or do we want a tangled journey filled with mysterious and magical forces?
I mean,
I'm
I
down
think
for whatever.
we talked
Take me
about
there.
focusing on characters there, so I don't know that... it doesn't matter. I think it could be either.
yeah. I think that we can do what we want to do in either kind of journey.
You could blend the two
You
in
can.
a way. Like a personal story doesn't have to be mundane.
Awesome. Yeah, I think of like Ghibli films that are deeply personal while set in a context of like deeply magical world.
Spirited Away.
Yeah, very much
Or
so. I think
Kiki's
that-
delivery service. That's
100%.
Yeah.
like, I'm a male person, you know.
When Marnie was there,
Female person.
Haha. I'm I'm a delivery person.
The final thing I'll ask is there anything else that might come up that we want to watch out for? I will say, I'd like to ask this before we jump into it. I think, again, if we're talking about different characters and filling the world up with different people, I wanted to double check. I had the idea for certain characters that were older and closer to death, potentially like Alzheimer's, kind of like memory, forgetting, just like short of memory kind of characters. Is that something that we'd want to include or watch out for?
Me personally, I wouldn't mind it being included, particularly like having a family member who is in that kind of state. Like we talk about sometimes it being an outlet to explore things that you're actually like, I don't know, grappling with in a safe and fun setting. So me personally, it's a green light, but you know, if it's a yellow or red light for somebody else, totally understand, and that's fine. We're going to be on the road anyway, and life's a highway.
good with
Green
me.
light for me.
Life is a...
I want to ride it all night long.
I'm good.
Trying to think if there's anything else.
Lightning McQueen.
I know, I think in a different game, I was talking to maybe one of you, which we can cut out, but in a different game, there was a concern about specifically putting like children at risk. I don't know I don't care.
I'm going to
Like,
be putting
I
a
find-
child at risk.
Because you're playing a child. Sure.
Timmy fell down the well. No,
when I
yeah,
killed
I
Shadow
think
and
I'm fine
Troika.
with it.
Spoilers.
Wait, you killed
Sorry.
Shadow and Troika?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got to listen to this episode.
And the
It's
high
crazy.
school children.
I was not paying
We
attention.
didn't kill the high school children.
we didn't
Somebody
kill
died.
them.
Oh, I
Spoilers
guess
for
It was,
Troika.
it was you. It was Siggy.
them old
Yeah, Siggy died.
decrepit nachos.
Everyone
cut it
else, everyone else besides the kids from
Stranger Things.
from Kids on Bikes died.
Eddie.
Literally,
300 days since we
I'd
lost
already
Siggy.
forgotten the name.
Me when I'm on my dry November or whatever. It's January. That's what it is.
It's been 300 days since we lost Siggy. That's funny.
Oh, that's funny.
I love the delayed response, Tori.
Taking a breath.
I don't have anything else. So the phrasing of the sentence is anything else that might come up that we want to watch out for. I can't tell if this is also a moment for us to be like, here are specific themes that I am interested in pursuing versus like, here are things that I don't feel comfortable with.
I would love to hear that as well.
Like, we'll get into this with character creation, but like the character that I'll be playing is certainly processing a lot of trauma. And I would be interested. It is not a hard need for me, especially in a short game. But the phrase is old man yaoi. I would be interested in like a second chance at love for this character, but it's not a requirement for me at all.
I may have something for you.
Cool.
Old man yaoi. Fuck yes.
Old man yaoi.
Reminds me that I need to watch Severance.
Everyone should watch Star Trek. That's
Yes.
the old man yaoi.
I need to finish.
So good at
I need to
Severance.
When
I
I
need to
edit
finish
this,
Severance.
I'm gonna change it so that y'all's really loud yeses are for Star Trek instead of Severance.
I actually take issue with that. Mikey said at sometimes she'll make a joke that flops and we'll insert laughter. That actually, just cut the joke. Why are you
don't do
inserting
that.
laughter? That one.
You do.
Me?
I bet.
No, I move stuff so that you can hear all of it.
I move stuff for everyone's jokes.
Don't.
Oh, I don't.
If it flops, cut
If it flops.
I leave in. Here's my editing style. I leave in everyone's flops but my own, so that I seem funnier.
I do.
Authenticity is in our mission statement.
I do leave in a little bit of silence after a flop joke because I think that will make the
deserves it.
listener laugh. You know?
Also, I don't want them to think I'm a lame if a joke flops and it sounds like I'm laughing at it. I want them to know I'm serious.
We recognize that it's bad.
Anyway, one of the things I want to ask the party to look out for is it's really easy, I feel, for me to slide into kind of a not really mean, but mean-spirited maybe, snarkiness. And I'm really interested, especially because my playbook is like the fool, who's somebody who has like a lot of curiosity for the world. So I would request that y'all keep me honest with that. You can just like text me on Zoom DM if you don't feel like being like, pause. But I really do want to try to be kind, and personally, I always try to go for laughs. And usually that's just easier to do if you are making fun of somebody. So I'm going to try to resist that and challenge myself. And I would love y'all's support in doing that by kind of being like, I don't know if that one was in the vein you're looking for.
Sure. Let's try
When we
something
play.
else.
Give me the read in the game.
That's what Emma does when you read my tweets. When you're like, that one's a little mean.
I do, yeah.
Awesome. Super cool. Anybody else? Awesome. The final thing I want to go over before we kind of jump into characters and our playbooks is the core mechanic of the game, the kind of driving factor, which are the tokens. On page 18, they kind of talk about the way these work. The rhythm of the game and how we move through the world is tokens. So you can either gain a token by doing certain actions and spend a token to do certain actions. So I'll briefly go over those. You gain a token whenever you, one, do something at the cost of yourself, or you describe the world around you. Here's a brief list of those things that you can do. 1, inconvenience yourself to help someone else. Give away something you hold dear. Pause for a moment and get some rest. Leave an offering to a small or forgotten god. Speak your true feelings on a subject. Take a moment to bask in the grandeur of the world and describe it to the table. Take a moment to watch a tiny moment of beauty and describe it to the table. Take a moment to marvel at something no one has ever seen before and ask the table to describe it. So generating your tokens are all about essentially being mindful. And to spend a token, you spend a token to either 1, push the story forward, 2, solve something important, or 3, help make the world a kinder space. Here are things you can do with the tokens. Provide a solution for an aspect of a material or immediate problem. Ease someone's pain, if only for a moment. Keep someone safe from the difficulties of the world. Offer someone the chance to connect with you on a personal level. Find what someone needs to give them a chance to change fundamentally. Reveal something hidden about the person in front of you and ask them what it is. Know something important about the place you're in and tell the table about it. And finally, listen to the shared wisdom of the many small and forgotten gods and ask the table what they tell you.
Devastating that it takes a token to offer someone the chance to connect with you on a personal level. Like, to specifically be like, I would like this to happen right now.
Yeah, I think that's important. That distinction. Real. I think we should jump into our playbooks.
Can we talk about briefly what it says about failure? Because I feel like that's interesting.
Please do.
It has it on the same page as the stuff we just read. It says, you might notice that nothing Wanderhome tells you to do concerns itself with failure. This doesn't mean you can't fail. Indeed, you can choose to fail whenever you'd like. Instead, Wanderhome as a game isn't preoccupied with failure. Often in life, we don't fail. Sometimes we struggle to do something, get passed over, do something we wish we hadn't, or give up. But even those moments aren't truly failures in a pejorative sense. Mistakes, maybe. Suffering at the cruelty of others. Listening to your body and your brain and accepting their natural limitations. But it doesn't mean you're a disaster, and it doesn't mean you failed. Your journey will just continue on another path. So I guess this game feels it doesn't have that binary focus of failure and success like a lot of games do.
Yeah. It's like, what will you do?
It's kind of on a true non-binary
It's on
game.
a spectrum.
Humbler.
Failure is on a spectrum.
I will say, do we have a general sense of our playbooks?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
I think we all know.
Perfect. I was going to ask because I want to make sure. We're at 57 minutes.
Good Lord.
And hey, I think that the game deserves some time to talk about it.
We're taking our time. We're taking time.
Yeah,
We're holding space.
Take your time, as they say it in the Persona. And yeah, holding space.
Okay. So when we're going over characters, do you want us to just go over like everything at once? What's the vibe?
I think we'll do somebody as like a template to talk about how the playbooks are structured. And then after that, just knock it out.
Today.
I'd like to read everything regarding the playbook, but if we can just be like, here's one ceremonial object I have, here's one I treasure no longer, and then after we do all that, we'll do the questions asked to the left and right.
Do you want to go first, Tori?
So I will be playing the Fool playbook. Life is an adventure and there's never shame in learning new things.
The structure of these playbooks are really interesting. The first part of any playbook is the statement, you are alive, and it talks about the way you care. Do you want to read that?
Your care is silly, naive, and more profound than most expect.
This has no specific gameplay impact, but it is a lot of flavor for how to play the embodiment of this playbook.
So it's just for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just fun knowledge for you.
And this is the way you care outwardly, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess I'm not, your care is silly. I care in a silly way.
Well, like when you were talking earlier about how you go for laughs and you don't want to be mean, I think that you still go, like, your care is silly. You might come at things from a naive way, but the more profound than most respect, I'm seeing it as like, you are silly and naive, but you're able to reach people in a way that others might not.
To me, this is giving...
Yeah, and also...
This is giving Mr. Peanut Butter from BoJack Horseman, low-key.
No.
What do you mean?
I hate that guy. I hate that guy.
I love Mr. Peanut Butter.
No.
Oh, no.
He's my
Bojack.
favorite.
Bojack.
I don't like any of these.
Can I just say,
this game is very BoJack Horseman.
Bojack is. It's not. Bojack
They're
is.
animals.
It's
This
antithetical.
is not. Yeah.
I was going to say, Tori, I don't know if there's necessarily. Oh, there are really good examples, I think, in terms of a lot of fantasy. You have you don't know Stormlight Archive, but like specifically characters that are like the jester, and oftentimes like they make fun of people, they deride certain characters that deserve it, but in the insults, in the things they say, they're pointing out what's good in people, and they often have these tokens of wisdom that are expressed in a way that seems foolish, that seems like it's not wisdom, but it secretly holds the wonders of the universe, that kind of stuff.
I will say, I think the fool in this case is referring to the tarot, the fool, which means the beginning of a journey as opposed to like a jester.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but like I was just
It
saying
is
for the
silly
vibe
still.
too.
It actually refers to both. I have the director's commentary in front of me. I'll read it really quickly. This playbook is really fun and is one of the playbooks with the most thematic range. Your fool can be a Harlequin-style jester, a dingbat who was basically just born yesterday, or a Siddhartha Gautama, Buddha, sort of sacred innocence. Their art is an intentional reference to the Rider-Waite tarot deck, showcasing the duality of the fool as both an overdressed clown who's going to get into trouble and a fresh receptacle for wisdom and understanding that more world-weary characters might not be able to access.
Wow, we're both
Yeah,
right.
we kind of nailed it.
Wow.
Imagine.
Yeah.
No
beautiful.
conflict
The
in
best-
this world.
The best embodiment of the fool I've ever seen in any kind of fantasy
Joker.
ever is.
Sorry.
I was going to say.
sorry.
For a single second, we can't just be authentic. We can't just.
Sorry.
I was
Are
gonna
you telling
say-
me Tori's authentic isn't the Joker?
Well, come on now.
Is Hoyd from the Stormlight Archive / the Cosmere. He's, portrayed as this jester character, but like several of the books, he has these long monologues that made me literally cry. But yeah, recommended those books.
Where to next?
Choose an animal, I think. Right? Or no name. Sorry.
Okay. So the name of this character is Lala, which is named after Alan Cummings' dog.
Oh.
And we're going with the
Perfect
classic
spelling.
she-her.
Cool.
The animal I've chosen is the Honduran white bat, because one of the animals you can choose is a goofy animal, and they have these really pretty, gigantic, what am I trying to say? Not a proboscis.
Like
What
the
you
Their
snot
nose. I'm pretty sure it's
Oh,
just their nose, right?
What do you say when it's appendage?
Yeah.
Do you like my sword?
They have a yellow appendage that is their nose, that's in this pretty, almost like a teardrop shape, and their ears are also these yellow kind of teardrop shape. Now, because it's a bat and because we have already broken the seal on self-referencing, it will also be a cacterror from our Exquisite Biome play. And then the two things that Lala are lovable and brave, and the two things that she is worried she is not useful and not talented.
Oh. Ooh. Ooh. How you doing?
Y'all like, it's supposed to be a character. It's made up. Like,
Hey, this can be a form of therapy to express
It's
ourselves.
good that you know that you're lovable and brave.
oh,
Yeah.
What was what kind of bat was it again? Was it
Honduran white bat?
bat?
And what are you not
Honduran
again?
white bat.
not
What
useful.
are you worried that you're not?
What are you
not,
wor-
what are you
Worried
not?
that you're
You're
not.
not.
I just said, what are you not?
You're nothing.
Say it again, a little louder.
This bat looks like one of those crying cat memes.
Okay.
I know, with its big bulbous eyes.
I love it.
The three things that describe my look are a polka dot bindle, the most classic of bindles. And then I have a flowing cape, but don't ask me to explain the logistics. I would like my wings to be my cape, like incorporated somehow. Don't ask me
love
how,
that.
but on the
Yeah.
inside
I'll draw
of
that.
my
I'll draw
wings. is my classic wizard cape. You got the stars and the crescent moon. Then I also have a pet ant.
Oh, yay.
Oh my
Can it hold
god.
the bindle and can it
cutie.
be like the ant with the bindle?
I was picturing it
It's so
on my
sad.
stick, but I do love
It's like
that.
your conscience, your Jiminy
yeah.
Cricket.
Well, funny you mention that because skipping down a little, it says choose one you carry with you and one you're confident is around here somewhere. You're just not sure where. And one of my options is, I'm going to say Seedy. Seedy, a small and forgotten witchy god who has decided to accompany you on your journey. And so I was thinking maybe Seedy could be
The ant.
that ant. Or
Ant.
like
Fun.
Seedy's consciousness is that ant or
I
something
love
like that.
that.
And then the thing I'm sure is around here somewhere is a now dull knife given by someone who you later realized is the opposite of everything you want to be in life.
So
So
excited.
maybe it's made of
Yo.
a cactus spike. And then choose two that are true and one that everyone's assumed is true. Now, these have words in them. I'm not sure if they have like a definition later, but I'm going for the tower background, which is you don't know a lot about the world, and the waste background, which is an upsetting childhood that I hate talking about. And then people assume wilderness. Most people I meet don't make any sense. And I do have a bit of a backstory, but I think we'll just like role play that unless you want to hear my like elevator pitch.
Whichever you want.
Whatever you want to reveal.
Yeah, if you want to just introduce it through the gameplay.
The
or-
only thing I'll say is Cactera from the Mesa, but is somehow below down in the Mesa, which is almost unheard of. And I think from my clothes, I've got some kind of like cartoon style bucket suspenders, but it's like a little cactus.
Cute.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's our first playbook. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Go for it.
Cool. I am playing the veteran. It says you wield the blade that must never be drawn again. You are alive. Your care is intense, sober, and mindful. My name is, I think, Pip.
Oh, great name for a
Ooh.
woodland creature humanoid thing.
Thanks. My name is Pip. Pronouns are he, him. My animal is a grasshopper mouse, which is a carnivorous mouse that we'll go into some of the stuff around it a little later. The two that it says choose two you sometimes are and two you refuse to be. So I am exhausted and I'm sometimes morbid and I refuse to be curt or heartless. Choose some to describe your look. I'm a small mouse and I have many like notches and scars. I'm missing the tip of my tail. I think I probably have a scar in my little nose as well. I have a wide brimmed hat that is pulled low over my eyes, and I always have a pack of smokes, and I am almost always smoking.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Then it says you have a sword sheathed at your hip. You can unsheath it whenever you want. You must never unsheath it. Choose two to describe your sword. And I do have a question about this one. I was for sure on one of these, which is looks unremarkable unless you know what to look for. It's just a basic dagger looking blade.
It could be like a cane, you know?
No, I think it's just like, oh, is that what it meant? I thought it just meant it doesn't look like a special blade. Like it looks like a basic blade.
I
Because
think
what I
Or like, yeah.
what I
interpretation.
was going with that is that the grasshopper mice are immune to the poison of the specific scorpion that they eat. So I think that this blade is like a poison dagger. So it's like a dull, not very dangerous looking blade, but if you were actually to be hit with it,
Scratched
it's
with
like
it.
an immediate death thing for most animals. And then the question that I had for that was there's a tag that is starving as an option, and I was interested in taking that, but I wasn't 100% sure what that means. So my blade can be starving.
Hungry for violence.
And I tried to read in the rule book the like starving section, but it didn't really line up to me very much.
Yeah, starving is a difficult trait to wrap your head around.
Just from vibes, I think starving makes sense. Like, I don't want to use it. I must never unsheath it. But the blade itself wants to be used.
Yes. And this is a good time to go over the section of the book called Traits very briefly. The kith in the game, including, even some magical creatures, even the animals, they can have traits. And there's a whole section of the book about them. It's a list of them. There are different categories of traits. And starving, I believe it's in the traumatized traits.
Yeah.
Yes, it's on page 130. I'll read it briefly. A starving kith has been denied their hunger for too long, and it's burning them up inside. They are often hungry ghouls, spiteful wardens, and the shadows of monstrous gods, among others. And you can choose 1 to 2. They always do. They can gnaw. No, that's not how you pronounce that.
Gnaw.
No.
I'm not a gnaw.
I'm not going to gnaw.
They can gnaw.
I'm not a gnoom.
They can always gnaw on what's left, blame the wrong person for your hunger, or name a place, person, object, or secret. If someone wants to hide it from you, they're going to need to spend a token. Yeah, it's hard to retrofit
Put that on
in
an object.
but I think it's more of descriptive than anything.
Can I have a pitch for what that means? Is there is the option, a thing that I can always do, but a thing that I will never do is I can kill the person in front of me immediately.
Yeah,
like that is, and then I have to retire my character. The character is taken off the board. So I like the idea of like the blade contains that starving trait, and so I don't have to have the brunt of it. But if I were to ever unsheath the blade, now I have that all again,
Yeah, one of the things you can do at any time. And I think it's pretty much the only thing like that in the playbook, which is why it's one of my favorite playbooks, I think.
That's crazy.
But I think it speaks to the whole point of the veteran is all about sobriety.
Yeah.
If you're starving, can you keep sober?
It's like you want the alcohol, you want the violence.
Well, I don't,
exactly.
is the thing. I will never unsheath my blade.
That's what I'm saying.
The next section is choose 1 lesson you've learned and 2 you've since forgotten. Tell the table about them. Another pitch that I hope is fine, but I kind of combined the 2 that I have since forgotten, which is your once lover recoiled from you when they saw the blood on your hands, and this is why you must never unsheath your blade. And you saw in the eyes of someone you thought was heroic the fate that awaits everyone who only knows violence, and this is why you must never unsheath your blade. So I think I've forgotten both of these and that they happened at the same time. I think that I don't know if it's like a true lover situation, but there was another, I think I was part of a special force of grasshopper mice because we are all immune to that specific venom. And I was very close with another one. And part of the importance of this venom is not only is it very deadly to other creatures, but to grasshopper mice, they are both immune and it acts as a painkiller. So while on the battlefield, you're essentially numb, like because you're getting pinpricks of it too, and you're numbing yourself to it. So I think I was very close to this other mouse. And then like at the end of this battle, we looked at each other and had the same realization of like deep love and hatred for what the other had become and for what we had become. And then the fact that we were on this venom means that we don't clearly remember it. Like we both walked away. We never spoke to each other again, but like we can't pinpoint why we feel that way about each other.
Are these real things?
Yes, the grasshopper mouse is immune to the venom of the bark scorpion, and it also acts as a painkiller for the grasshopper mouse.
Mother Nature, the woman you
It's
are.
crazy.
That
yeah.
is crazy.
It's crazy because the grasshopper mouse has, this is also, I think, true of this mouse on the battlefield. They have big, like, beautiful eyes, but when they go into attack, they close their eyes because that is, like, one of the only things that could get really hurt from a pierce. So literally, like, I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling it.
Wow.
I am just committing violence.
And one of the
What do
first
they
videos.
eat?
They eat the scorpions.
Do they eat other stuff? Do they eat
Yeah,
bugs and
they'll
stuff?
eat other rodents.
Oh,
They're
okay.
carnivorous. Like they'll eat.
They're
They often
crazy.
take on prey that's bigger than them. Like they're also called, I think, the werewolf mouse or the wolf mouse because they also howl at the moon. They go.
I was gonna say.
Oh,
it's
that's
crazy.
the mouse.
That's the mouse.
That's the mouse.
I went on a
That's
rabbit
so
hole.
funny.
Sad.
I
So
I love
sad.
those mice.
It was so juicy. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Oh, one lesson you learned.
That I have learned.
Yes.
That one was let me find it. Yes. The lesson that I have learned and held on to was a friendly old innkeep taught you that a well-made bed can save more lives than an army of warriors, and this is why you never unsheath your blade. So I think in that kind of numb, out of it state after the battle, I started journeying. I felt very displaced and alone, and then eventually there was somebody who welcomed me, and despite like what I look like, despite maybe the literal blood on my hands, and that saved my life, proving that like kindness is a better route.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Who wants to go next?
Yes, so I am the vagabond. The world's taken everything from you, beat down on your shoulders, and given you an aching heart. Some people think you're a criminal or a monster. You know what you are. You are alive, your care is invisible, cautious, and unimaginably deep. My name is Cass. And I use she, her.
Snake.
What?
And
Snake.
my animal is a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
And yes,
You say
I
Cass?
choose the two Cass rattlesnake. I call myself a hero, a lady, and I insist I am not a traitor or a monster. 3 to 4 to describe my look. I have a scarf big enough to hide in. So you can see just my little head peeking out from like this big wraparound scarf I have covering my entire body. I have wanted posters of my own face. And I have a stylish and wide-brimmed hat. And I also have a pack of smokes as well.
Let's go.
So
How do you hold
so yeah,
them?
we'll
As a snake. I'm just curious. That was just like, it will be funny to me if it's like a little snake with a cigarette.
I like kind of have them in between my scales.
Or like a tail. Like end of the tail.
Yeah.
Like a hookah
Yeah,
pipe.
that's actually a great idea. Yeah. Because my thinking was originally I had like a hole at the end of my tail where I had like stuck a knife or something. And like now that has been removed and the hole is now, it's like an attachment kind of at the end, like a metallic sort of,
That's crazy.
Cool.
you know, like bionic, you know, type thing. And so I have to choose 2 crimes I've been falsely accused of and 2 I'm actually guilty of. The crimes I have been falsely accused of are killing a god and betraying my kingdom. The crimes I'm guilty of are killing my queen and killing a dragon.
Lord.
Whoa.
And I'm with you. I was like, how did you not betray your kingdom if you killed your queen? But she could have been bad.
Yeah, and so I don't know how much we want to go into like backstory, but like my whole idea with my character's backstory is like Cass worked closely with the queen, you know, doing all of these like things very like closely knit with the community, like in terms of maybe like a personal assistant type, like apothecary assassin type thing. But I noticed the queen was becoming more and more of a tyrant and like imposing all of these, like becoming kind of dictatorial over her land, the kingdom. And I remembered like, you know, back and like she made the people think of her as a god type thing. And so I remembered back when we first met up and like, you know, the first like moments of, you know, our deep and like long lasting friendship that she had told me, like if she ever like lost herself, like, you know, ever like lost who she was, that I needed to kill her. And so I did. But in doing so, I was able to release the spirit of hers and it left her body and rose up kind of to the cosmos. And I can still see her in the night sky and like realize that she's like looking down on me from above in a better place now and like ended the conflict.
Is that
she
why
created.
people think you killed a god? Because people thought of her like a god?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I like it.
And then I choose one I carry with me and one that's been stolen from me. The thing I carry with me is my shadow, which moves of its own volition. It's a very Peter Pan-esque. And then the thing that's stolen from me is a name my partner in crime gave me.
Oh.
And it's the name that the Queen gave me that I no longer have.
Awesome.
I love that because we prep character sheets before we record. So I just know when Anish was asking the question about, like, are we interested in doing a lighthearted or a more trauma exploration game? It's like, just for show. That's just we know what we're doing.
That's funny because my character has nothing to, like, I didn't no clue that y'all had some edgy fucking characters.
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
Okay.
Is that the last part, right?
Yeah, that was the last thing I have, yeah.
Actually, I do have a question before we move forward. Is your name Cass with the long S, or do you say it Cass and, like...
My name is just Cass.
Cool. I didn't know
but, like, I say Cass.
if we should be saying Cass.
Like,
No.
Jennifer.
I just say...
Like Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just say Cass because I'm a snake.
I realize we might not have been... Have we been saying what the things we can always do?
I did not.
Okay,
I didn't either.
I think we can get back around to it.
Yeah.
Once
we
do
can go
We'll be
back to it.
doing the character ties anyway for each person.
Perfect. And our final character.
All right, y'all got some edgy ass characters. I'm just a little kid.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm the ragamuffin.
Are you going to do that the whole time? That's so good.
I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Real Barfay
Lugubrious.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm the ragamuffin. It's run, scream, play, steal, and above all, live. You are
You
alive.
must live.
Your care is young, exuberant, and naive. And the character name I chose, which will be evident why in a second, is Oreo. And the pronouns
Nice.
are she, he, it.
Yay!
And the animal I chose was a leopard gecko because it is based on that little meme that I saw on Tumblr a long time ago, which is the picture of the little leopard gecko looking up at the camera with like his cute ass face. And it's like uncooked chicken looking ass boy. You got games on your phone face. Like Hershey's cookies and cream looking ass. Like, so I don't know. I really like this little guy.
So cute.
And so that's the I think that this character is going to be the embodiment of you got games on your phone. So, and I chose the name Oreo because that's the name that everyone gives their like pet that they have when they're like 8 years old, like whether it's like a guinea pig or like a hamster or like a little gecko. Plus it's cookies and cream anyway. So I'll post the image because it looks just like that. Emma also drew a really good picture. So I choose 2 I am and 2 I refuse to be. I chose friendly and adorable as the 2 things I am, and I refuse to be attentive and refuse to be quiet.
Yay!
Which honestly is not that inaccurate, for that, at least the last 2. And then describe your look. I chose to have bandages because obviously I'm getting into scrapes, suspenders, and a poking stick.
Hey.
Oh, no.
Poking stick.
It's like you have a stick to poke people with, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of a stick and poke.
stick and poke too.
No, I mean, maybe I
like,
could have
as
that
a child?
too. But yeah, I got a big stick that I poke things with.
Shout out to Teddy
And
Roosevelt.
it says I can choose 3 to 4, but there's not really anything else that compels me. I mean, I kind of like the flowers forever in hand, but like...
There's one that's like a undeniable sense of joy or something, right?
An overwhelming love for life. I don't think I have that.
I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe
We don't want to
stomping
go too
boots?
crazy.
I don't know. Or a sundress that whooshes when you spin. That's kind of cute.
Me.
If you
Go on.
pick that one, I'm going to be kind of mad because you made me erase it and draw you with the
Yeah.
suspenders.
I mean, it could be both. Like, I feel like I can have multiple outfits.
That's true.
I'm not just a cartoon character. Okay, and then I have choose two life lessons you've been taught and 2 you have rejected. So the 2 that I selected that I've been taught are the world is bigger than you can wrap your head around, and there will come a time when you must fight back.
Even
and
a
then-
worm will turn.
Even a you got games on your phone kid.
And then I rejected all stories are lies. I think I'm going to be really gullible. I think I'm going to think that all stories are true and also tell stories like they're all true. And then I also rejected it's better to give a gift than receive it. I like receiving presents. So gullible and sort of greedy, maybe. And then choose one you carry with you openly and one you carry with you secretly. It says tell the table about them, so even the one I carry secretly, I'll say. I carry dreams about a vast and bloody war, always centered around a powerful hero. And I think I don't have a specific idea as much, but I feel like maybe I don't really spend a lot of time at home, obviously, and I think that maybe I kind of think that powerful hero was my dad, but I don't know him. So, like, I think that I've got in my head, like, I don't even think I really see the figure or what they look like or whether they look like me, but I think I just imagine that that's my dad, and I'm like, of course my dad would be really cool. Of course my dad would be the hero of the war. And then I carry secretly an encoded scroll that you can't read pressed into your hands by one of the last heroes of the rebellion. I don't think I remember who gave this to me, and I just think I can't read at all. So that's probably why.
Wait. Sorry.
What?
I was just reading the things you could choose. One of them is the Heaven Blade.
Aw, just a baby with a blade.
Yeah.
A knife!
The
but
thing
it's
that
that you would never
gun.
use to hurt another soul. And I saw that and I was like, I think I would use that to hurt another soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got your poking stick.
got my
That's
poking
enough of a
stick.
weapon for you.
Yeah, I could probably do some real damage. It also says that I have the same thing where I can kill anyone in front of me, but I don't have to retire the character.
Wow.
Where's
don't-
this?
It's a
Where's
joke.
this?
I don't think so.
And that's it.
You are a ragamuffin.
Hi.
Just a bunch of...
It's funny that you. It's funny, Jess, that yours is like you believe everything is true, because one of the things I can always do is I can always lie.
Oh, awesome. That's a great combo. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can also read the stuff that I can always do if that's...
Yeah, let's briefly do that before we...
Yeah, we can go in reverse order.
Go in reverse order.
Yeah, let's do that.
Should I also do my ask one to the left and ask one to the right while I'm here?
I would be curious what we can all always do before I answer those questions.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I can always get distracted. I can always get really invested in a new interest. I can always blurt out a secret. I can always somehow manage to squeeze myself out of trouble. I can always ask, do you want to hang out with me? And the character gets a token if they say yes.
Oh my god.
And I can always ask, do you want to see something really cool? And they get a token if they say yes.
That's so cute. I can always be somewhere I'm not supposed to be, have something I'm not supposed to have, mutter something I'm not supposed to say. I can always lie. I can always say, I have a bad feeling about this. And I can always ask, do you trust me? And I get a token if they say yes.
You can't say that.
I don't get any tokens.
You can't say
Well,
that.
I give people tokens. I
That's
don't. I
nice.
don't get it.
I'm not affiliated with tokens. Some things that I can always
I give
do,
tokens too.
I can. Oh, you can't. When?
Yeah. If someone said, if I ask, do you trust me, and someone says yes, they get a token, not me.
Okay. The things that I can always do, I can repeat a calming phrase, which I think might be not my circus, not my monkeys, but we'll see. Spend time practicing a craft that I'm not very good at. I can drum against the pommel of my blade. I can leap to my feet. I can say, I don't do that anymore. I can ask, what are you hiding? And I can always unsheath my blade and immediately kill the person in front of me. Then remove my character from the game. You cannot play them any longer.
Ouch.
Some things that Lala can always do: meander around, give great advice, give terrible advice, do something that's actually pretty funny, ask.
We'll see.
Oh,
Laugh. Please laugh.
ask, but why? Ask, what's going on? And the player I pose this to will get a token if they help explain.
Oh,
Fine.
Cool.
I love it. All right.
Character ties.
Character ties. This is where the meat of our character relationships will happen. If it's helpful, think of our little party traveling on the way to somewhere, setting up a campfire and just kind of chatting to each other about how y'all met and like all these different things. Maybe you're thinking it to yourself. Maybe you're practicing your character voice. The game talks about players to your left and right. We are playing online. I will just arbitrarily say.
Can we do the intro order just because I've got one of these questions that I really do want to apply to one person specifically?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so this would be me, Emma, Tori, Mikey. Is that accurate?
Cool.
Yours.
Okay. So mine is that I want to apply to Emma's character. How do you feel about the fact that I've decided you're my new parent?
Yes.
Ha 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 ha.
Emma feels great. I think that Pip, one of the things that I could have picked for something I refuse to be is terrified or like frightened. I didn't pick that one. I think that is the answer. I'm terrified that you have chosen me to be your new parent. It feels like I'm trying, but it's like not a burden in that I'm taking care of you. I just feel that anyone else would probably be a better option. So when you express interest in another adult, I try to nurture that.
Okay. And then to my other side, which I guess would be Mikey, which I also kind of like that's the two that I've got set up, because the one I'm going to give you is what do I do that really, truly next level gets on your nerves?
Oh, tug on my scarf.
Fuck yeah.
or like scarf slash just like or tail, like, you know, just like part of like just trying to get my attention.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Seems like cool.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Love that.
No, I don't want to see anything cool.
Okay, you're not gonna token.
Okay, it's my turn, and I'm going to be asking questions of Jess and Tori, or Lala and... Oh my gosh, wait, your name is Oreo. Yes.
Yes.
Oreo, what craft have you been teaching me? Which, as a reminder, I can always practice a craft that I'm not good at, so this might be that craft.
What craft have I been teaching you?
Like daisy chains, like it can be something little.
I think you drew in the we talked about on my poking stick, like a little spider web forms. I think that there's a spider that lives on that, and like I just don't really know, and like I kind of will do whatever with the web, and then it like disappears, or like and then it comes back because the spider just keeps recreating it, and I don't really realize. So like I don't know, maybe some sort of weaving with the web.
What about those little hand games?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That feels like a good tie-in to weaving.
Yeah.
So some kind of weaving. Okay. And then for Lala, how do you help me stay in control?
I'm going to say, due to your years of experience and your strict training, you have these quick judgments you'll make, especially in terms of, we got to take this guy out, or like she's trying to get something over on us, or whatever it is. And Lala's naivete maybe gives you pause to see, give people the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And
you're asking questions of me and Mikey, I think.
Is Mikey first? Did you already go?
No, you're first.
No, I'm last.
Okay. Of you and Mikey?
I think, right?
Of Pip and
Yeah.
Cass.
Because for me, it's Tori and Jess.
Pip, what did you show me that no one else could?
How you're from a bad area, right? That's what I showed you that no one else could. And I don't know if I know that I showed you this. You left some situation that I'm not aware of. I think I showed you that people can be redeemed.
Because you also have had a bloody past.
Yeah.
And the cacteras are very bloody species. So maybe not to be terrified that just because there's blood in your footsteps doesn't mean there have to be in
your
the
future.
place you're going. Yep.
Yeah.
And then, Cass, I'm going to ask you kind of the opposite of Oreo is, why are you so patient with me?
Well, this kind of leads into my one of the questions that I'll say in a second. It's because I consider you to be my only friend. And, you know, you were kind of there for me in a lot of ways. Like just in terms of you didn't write me off.
I'd never heard of
like
you.
a lot of people do. Yeah, exactly. So you were nice. Even, you know, if you kind of made fun of me, but, you know, you didn't call me out for the supposed bad things I had done when everyone else had.
I don't know why your hat's so big. How can you see from under that thing?
Wait, that's me.
Y'all
Both have hats.
We both have hats.
I have a
I
yeah.
messed
We
up.
both have hats.
I heard the scarf and got confused. Dope.
Yeah, I have a large scarf and a wide brimmed hat, both to kind of conceal my appearance.
Y'all was my
thinking-
cowboys out here.
That I will be doing an accent.
That's the vibe too.
I'm thinking because when I fell from the mesa, I was kind of just like stuck in this like forest that wasn't super inhabited. And maybe you were hiding out there to get the heat down. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I like it. All right.
Why are we
Cool.
kind of like a
Yeah,
nuclear family?
We're always a nuclear family. Tee-hee.
Kind of funny because we got two like younger naive characters and two older grizzled,
Yeah.
potentially Western characters.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Okay. So my two questions, we kind of already covered this slightly, but the question for Lala is, why do I call you my only friend?
La 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 la. I think you probably were one of the first people I met, and we were in this kind of like secluded, isolated forest. I had only ever known, I think when I had fallen, it was like I wasn't even hunting and eating by myself. Like it was like my parents were, you know, just bringing me the blood or the whatever. And so I think we really bonded because you were able to teach me things about this new and confusing world. And I trusted you off the bat because I had no other choice and I had no reason not to trust you. And I think that probably was a novel feeling for you. I think most people already know about you and know to keep a wide breath. So to have somebody who is like eating out the palm of your tail was probably something you hadn't felt in a long time.
Yeah, the palm of my tail.
Don't bite the tail that feeds.
No, I think. I like that. Great. And then the second question I have, and this one is for Jess, for Oreo. How have you helped me when no one else would?
I don't know. I think I'm just willing to be. I think I'm down for whatever. So, like, I think that maybe you might have had some like questionable thing you had to go do, like mission or whatever or something, and you were just kind of like, you needed someone who wouldn't ask any questions or wouldn't ask any questions that mattered. Like, I'm just gonna keep asking questions, but like I'm not really gonna listen to the answer. So like, I think that like I don't know. You kind of maybe could have enlisted me as a child soldier.
In the rebellion?
No, not like literally,
like
but
sending a message or something.
Like used me as like just like a companion to like help you. Like, I don't know, I could have just like carried a box for you or whatever. Like something as simple as that. Like I'll do anything in the same way that I'm like, do you want to hang out? Like you're just like, hey, do you want to hang out? I'm like, yeah.
Nice. I like it. Love it.
I'm imagining that, like, I don't know, maybe Cass is like, ooh, like stealing this kid from the enemy lines. And then it's that like classic parent thing where it's like, if you got kidnapped, they just bring you right back.
Yeah, that classic parent thing.
That all our parents said to us.
Classic.
What was that? James. What next?
You want to talk about it? That's crazy. That's wild.
Y'all have heard that before.
I've
No.
heard it, but not to me.
I've not heard it. I understand the concept behind what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
the
too.
sentiment's there. The sentiment's there. Oh my god. All
Okay,
right.
what's next?
We have pretty much finished everything else. If we were playing a kind of GM-less kind of game, we'd kind of go over 3 different what's called natures, basically different settings that we could essentially travel through for our certain session. Since I'm doing it, I've already picked a couple, and we can talk a little bit about my decisions in the game episode. But other than that,
Slay.
do we have any other questions?
Nope.
I'm so excited. This is gonna be
I
really
think we can jump into it.
Just can't hide it.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We're going to take these characters and jump on over to the play episodes, so we will see you on a different side of the table.
Yay!
Cigarettes!
Cigarettes.